Hello everyone and welcome back to Math Merit. Today this should look very familiar. We had this as your assignment for Algebra 1. What we're going to be doing is learning what a trend line is, and also learning how to write an equation for a scatter plot and trend line. Anyways, we're going to start off by making the scatter plot. Okay, so I know you already did this, so let's just do it together. Let's jump right into it. So at age of 1 month, a panda bear weighs at 2.5 pounds. At age of 1 month. So 1 month, here we would have 6 pounds. So it would probably be right here above the 0. So I would say there would be our first point. Then at 2 months, we have 7.6. So that's in a little over our line at 6. So a little over because 6, 7.6 is around 7.5, almost 8. At 3 months, our panda weighs 12.5. So we go to 12. So it's just a little over 12. Just because it's 12.5. So 12.5, almost 13. At 4 months, our panda bear weighs at 17.1. We surpass our 12. This line would be 18, so we would be right under it, just slightly under it. Then at 6 months, our panda bear is weighing 24.3, so right slightly above the 24. And then at 8 months, our panda is weighing 37.9 pounds. So we go all the way up to here, 36, just slightly above it because it is 37. That is at 8 months. So right around here, let me see, just right here. Okay. Then at 10 months, we have 49.2. So we have 48, so slightly above the 48. We have 10 months. And then at 12 months, we have 54.9. So it will go up. I would say if we add 6 to 48, it would be, 52. So 52, still above 52, but it's just slightly above 52. So it would be right about here. And that is how our scatter plot should look like. If it doesn't and something seems confusing or anything like that, please reach out and ask. I can explain things again or in a different way too. Now, a trend line is when we draw a line through our points in our scatter plot. We see that it is increasing. That tells us that this is a positive correlation between the two sets of data that we are comparing. Now, to find a equation to write this, let's go into our next step. So to start off, to write an equation for our scatter plot or trend line, we're going to choose 2 points in the scatter plot. In this case, I chose this point, which is age 4 months and weight 17.1 pounds, and this point, 8 months and 37.9 pounds. Okay? Those are the 2 points. I wrote them down like this, and you'll see why next. Who remembers the slope formula? Flashback. The slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 is equal to our slope. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and label the 2 points that we chose on our graph. This would be x1, and this one would be y1. Here we have x2 and y2. Okay? Now, let's just plug in those numbers where they go in the formula. We have y2, which is 37.9 minus 17.1 over 8 minus 4. And let's do the math real quick. Let's start with the top. You can feel free to use a calculator for this. So we're going to subtract 17.1 from 37.9. So it's going to look a little like this. 37.9 minus 17.1 is equal to 20.8. So that's our top number. That's going to be over. What's 8 minus 4? 8 minus 4 is 4. So it's going to be 20.8 over 4. Let's do the division. So we have 20.8, and now we're going to divide by 4. That gives us 5.2 as our slope. Okay? Now, there's going to be another formula that comes into play. Let's see how that's going to work out. Now we're going to be using our point slope formula. It looks like this. Y minus y1 is equal to m, when it's in parentheses, x minus x1. So what do you think we're going to do? Plug in our numbers. Remember, we already found our slope, which is represented by m. So for y, we're just leaving it as a variable because it's not asking for y1 or y2. It's just y. So we're going to leave the y. Minus y1, which we do have a number for. So it's 17.1 is equal to m, which is 5.2, which is our slope. And in parentheses, we have our x, again, just the variable, and minus x1, which in this case is 4. Minus 4. So what are we going to do now? Let's work it out. Let's solve for y. Here we have to distribute, multiply. So we're going to start off there. We're going to multiply 5.2 times x and 5.2 times 4. So y minus 17.1 is equal to 5.2x minus, it's going to stay a minus because our 5.2 is a positive and we are multiplying times a negative, so our answer will stay negative. So again, let's grab our handy calculator. We're going to multiply 5.2 times 4. 20.8. Now, again, remember it's negative. 20.8. What does it look like we're doing now? Remember, we want to get our y alone. So we're going to move 17.1 to the other side by adding 17.1 to both sides. So y is equal to 5.2 2x. And now here, we have negative 20.8 plus 17.1. Our larger number is 20.8, and that one's a negative. So our answer will be negative. So we're going to be subtracting 17.1. That gives us 3.7. Okay? Now, what am I supposed to do with this? This is actually the formula that we could use to determine any point that would belong on our scatter plot. What? All right. Let me show you what that's going to look like. So remember, it's y equals 5.2x minus 3.7. Let's go back here. It's gonna work up here. Y equals 5.2x minus 3.7. Now we know how much our panda bear would weigh if at age 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 8 months. What about 7 months? Let's see if we can actually figure that out. How are we going to do that? We're going to be plugging in 7 for x. And that will be giving us y. Okay? So let's do the math up here. Let's plug in 7 minus 3.7. And again, we could use our calculator. So we're going to be multiplying 5.2 times 7 is equal to 36.4. So 36.4 minus 3.7. Again, you can use your calculator. 3.7 is 32.7. Is equal to 1. So at 7 months, our panda bear will weigh 32.7 pounds. Does that sound right? Let's see if we can try and graph it. Here we have 7 months. And we have 32.6. So it would be slightly under the 36. It would be right about here. That looks right, doesn't it? Pretty interesting, right? Now, let's get into your assignment for today. For your assignment, I made a couple changes to our previous table. We're still working with our baby pandas, but this time, instead of comparing its weight, we will be comparing their height. At 1 month, a baby panda is about 8 inches tall. 2 months, 11.75 inches. 3 months, 15.5, so on and so forth. Please pay close attention because I did change the numbers on both sides of the table. So that's important. Now what do you have to do with this table? I want you to create a scatter plot. Tell me whether it's positive, negative, or no correlation. After you tell me that, I want you to draw a trend line. After you draw your trend line, I want you to write out the equation. Now, that step's pretty long, so make sure you look back at the video or look back at your notes at all the steps I followed. The formulas are there too, so it's a very good help. After you write your equation and you solve what your equation would be to pinpoint any other coordinate in the scatter plot, I want you to solve for 7. So you're just going to plug in 7 for x. Again, just like we did previously. And you're going to tell me how tall a baby panda is at 7 months. If you have any questions or something seemed a little too confusing, please do not hesitate and ask. I'm here to help. I hope you guys all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to be hearing back from everyone very, very soon. Goodbye.